In the last stream, we were working on upgrading our draconic evolution energy storage sphere. We previously had this one right here, the tier 7 energy core, which I have gone ahead and rebuilt since the end of the last stream. I just did a bit more in the way of draconium essence farming, and then I reassembled the orb, and I'm happy to report that if you do break it and reassemble it, it does retain the previous capacity you had, so you don't lose the energy that's in there. I assume that you would only lose the energy stored in the multi-block if you actually broke the energy core at the center. But we do now have a bigger, better, and oranger ball, and that is this one right here, which between streams I have gone ahead and hooked up with these energy pylons. I just moved the ones that we had over here because now there's really no need to have this ball online. Over here we have the ball, and you can actually see in here how long it's going to take to fill up this tier 8 energy core. When I first put this down, this right here was limited to 800,000 RF per tick, and I opened this up, and at 800,000 RF per tick, it would take 30,000 years to fill up this energy core. That should go to show just how big this thing is, and even with our whopping 25 million redstone flux per tick, it's still going to take 592 years in order for us to fill this thing up. We are currently at 3 trillion redstone flux, so we have managed to surpass the amount of energy stored in the tier 7 energy cube. Careful when you get too close to this thing because it does have a tendency to suck you in, but this is online, this is all working, and if we give it a solid 600 years, it will fill up its capacity. And other than that, all I have done between streams is kind of configured these farms over here. Once again, over here we've got dragon egg seeds. We've got 2 levels of them now to maximize the amount of dragon egg essence that we're making and the amount of dragon eggs that we can turn into EMC. The same is true over here as well. We've got more dragon egg seeds, more of these tier 2 power pots, all connected in the exact same way. And we do still have a lot more space in these modular routers for even more energy distributor modules. So if we wanted to, we could even put like another 2 levels to this and not have to get new modular routers to facilitate that. Finally, in the middle here, we have inferium essence growing once again with a few nether star pots at the back just to make sure that our nether stars keep coming in for our rainbow generator. You'll see in the top left, we are now up at 5.6 billion EMC, and down here we've got 440 insanium essence and counting. Between streams, I did also move the awakened draconium out of here, and I'm now using it instead for the insanium essence because we're going to get a lot more of that going forward. And if we're going to beat the pack and craft up the creative chest, we're going to need a ton of insanium, and I don't really think we're going to need that much more in the way of awakened draconium. So the plan for today's stream is to start working on getting these singularities, and more specifically, it's going to be to try and get at least one of the ultimate singularity. Once we have that, that opens up quite a few of these creative recipes. A lot of them do have the ultimate singularity in the middle. Really, the only one that doesn't, I think, might be the everlasting guilty pull from Botania, which we have already made. And I guess also, never mind, that's not true at all. A lot of these recipes do require the ultimate singularity in the middle. There are a few, like the everlasting guilty pull, that don't have that requirement, but quite a few of them do require it, and so we are going to have to make quite a few ultimate singularities. Before we do that, though, the very first thing that I want to work on right at the start of today's stream is getting a wireless crafting grid. This is something that I have seen requested many times in the YouTube comments, and it is going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier when it comes to crafting, because right now we do have to run back over to this crafting grid anytime we want to craft something that isn't in the transmutation tablet. And if we get the wireless crafting grid, that's basically going to allow us to access everything that our system can access anywhere within the range of the wireless crafting grid, which for the most part is going to be basically anywhere within our base. So to make this is fairly easy. We need some quartz enriched iron, an ender pearl, an advanced processor, and a crafting grid. I don't know if I taught crafting grids to the transmutation tablet. Apparently I did not. That should be fine. Getting another crafting grid really isn't going to be too difficult for us here. The tricky part is getting the right color here, which is just a regular crafting grid. That's the one right there. And for that, it looks like all we're missing here is just regular glass. So we'll take some of that. We'll drop it in like so. I will teach this to the tablet just in case we need to get another one in the future. And with that, we do have to upgrade it, of course, to a crafting grid. The crafting grid, again, it's going to be easier if I search it in JEI, because otherwise we're going to have to cycle through all the colors again. Boom and boom. Might as well teach that just to be safe as well. And with that, we have the wireless crafting grid. Now, in order for this to actually work, there are two more things that we need. We do need to get this guy, the wireless transmitter. The wireless transmitter, again, looks fairly straightforward. I did just have an advanced processor, and apparently I did not teach it to my tablet. That is not a mistake I will make again. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's grab that advanced processor as soon as it comes in and do something like that. Fantastic. And with that, that should be everything for the wireless transmitter. And now if you place this down, connected to the refined storage system, let's say right about here, and we open it up, by default, it has a range of 16 blocks. And so what that means is if we take our wireless crafting grid, we can shift right click that onto the controller. That's going to link it to this refined storage system. Then it does require power. We can charge it over in here. And now if we go ahead and right click on it, we can access everything that the crafting grid can access anywhere within a 16 block range. But as soon as we go more than 16 blocks away, there is no longer a wireless transmitter within range, and so it's no longer going to work. Thankfully, we can craft range upgrades, which are going to allow us to extend the base range of that wireless transmitter. For this, again, more ender pearls, more quartz enriched iron, and a basic upgrade. I will take that, add it to the tablet. It also looks like I haven't taught my table how to make quartz enriched iron either. We do have more than enough of it, but just for the sake of Isaac of the future, I will go ahead and make yet another one of those. And then with that, we get our range upgrade, which we can then, of course, teach and, of course, pull more of. Nice. Now, I believe we can only put 4 of these into this wireless transmitter. That does increase the range to 48 blocks. And so let's do a little test here. Is that enough for us to be able to access the system no matter where we are on the base? I think the answer might be no, because all the way back here, yeah, we are a little bit too far away. We can go to about here, but if we go a little further back, that's not enough. Now, I don't really foresee that being a problem. Currently, there's nothing back here that we need to access, and even our new energy balls are definitely within range. What we could do, though, that is actually fairly easy to do, is just grab another wireless transmitter and add it down over here, because you can have as many of these as you like connected to your refined storage system, and you can kind of dot them down around the base if you have a really large base to give you access wherever you want. And so if we do the same thing here with 4 more range upgrades, what we've essentially done is we've now added an extra 48 blocks of range in this direction. So now we can kind of fly out quite far over in this direction, and we should still be able to access the crafting grid. Nice. And so now we do have full base coverage, which is very nice indeed, and we no longer have to run back to here every time we want to craft something, which is pretty nice. So now that that is taken care of, actually, I did say there were 2 things we needed. The first was the wireless access point. The second is ideally wireless power, because what we could do is we could continually come back over to this solar panel and recharge it every time that it runs out of power, but the mod Flux Points does add a much easier way for us to get wireless power that we can then use to charge the remote wirelessly in our inventory, at which point we never have to think about charging it ever again. The Flux controller here, again, shouldn't be too difficult for us. The Flux Dust we have taught, the Flux Cores we have also taught, the Flux Blocks we haven't taught, but we can do that right now. And then if we go ahead and just grab maybe a stack of those Flux Blocks, again, we've got almost 6 billion EMC now, so I'm not too worried about wasting a little bit of it. And that should be basically everything for the Flux controller. And essentially, all that we need to do here is place this down anywhere in the base, connect it to our power, which is GOC real power, and we'll go ahead and disable limit. In the wireless charging section at the top, we want to go ahead and change this toggle down here to enable wireless charging, and then we want to select hotbar, offhand, main hand, curio slot, and armor slot. Now, in reality, the only thing that we probably need to wireless charge is the curio slot. By default, the config is set up so you can't charge your main inventory. Not quite sure why, but for us, curio slot is all that matters here, because now, if we hit apply and we open up our curio slots, which are these ones over here, we can actually place this wireless crafting grid into one of these 2 slots at the top. And now, if we go options, controls, and type in wireless crafting grid, by default, it's set to Control G. So if I was to press Control G whilst in the world, it will open up the crafting grid, even though I don't have it in my hand. Personally, I'm not a fan of Control G. I prefer having mine just set to Z. And if Z is conflicted, which it is if it turns orange, we can type in Z, click key, and then we can just get rid of hotbar swapper, toggle all waypoints, and helmet integration, at which point now, if I just tap the Z key, it's going to go ahead and open that wireless crafting grid without me having to take up a space in my hotbar or inventory. And because it's in our courier slot, it's going to get wirelessly charged, meaning that it's always going to be full on power so long as we have enough power in our energy ball here to keep it full, which is pretty nice. So we basically don't need to think about it going forward. Chat does make a good point here, actually. I completely forgot that we do have the RS Infinity Booster mod installed, and so if we were to craft this guy, the Infinity Range Booster, which is very easy and just requires a few of these range upgrades we already have, I'm fairly certain that this gives us infinite range. And so if I were to put this into here, this now has a range of 2.14 billion blocks, and so essentially anywhere in the world we can access our wireless crafting grid, which is substantially better than the 48 that you get with 4 standard range add-ons. So just a little thing that we can make there, especially because we already have nether stars and netherite. But now that that is taken care of, let's see if we can't get some of these singularities. So there are 19 singularities that we need, and I'm being told that we need all of them to craft the ultimate singularity. This recipe right here only shows it requiring 17, but the Twitch chat's telling me that's a bug, and we actually do need all 19 that are listed here in order to actually make the ultimate singularities. Now, the way that these singularities are made is using the quantum compressor. This guy shouldn't be too difficult for us to make. The only thing we're missing is the black iron frame, because we've already made the catalysts and the black iron for the ultimate crafting table that we made for the everlasting guilty pool. The black iron frame here, again, more of the same. It's glass, it's black iron, and it's a black iron slate. I will, of course, go ahead and do something like that. And then that should be everything for the quantum compressor, which we can teach. And in an ideal world here, we're going to want to grab, I guess, at the very least, 19 of these. And I think I'm going to get these and place them down under here, because we've got space on either side to make this work. Now, I don't know if I saved the black hole unit. I did not. Let me quickly grab 19 small black hole units. Again, we're not going to be making thousands of singularities, and so the basic black hole unit, this one here that can hold 2,048 items, is going to be more than good enough. We just need one more pity machine frame, which, you know, I'm going to get a bit better at teaching my system everything that we craft. And then let's do this, and if we type in black hole, we can take a stack of those. And my idea here is to basically have a line of black hole units that are going to go down like this. And we'll do the exact same thing, I think, on the other side as well. Now, we do need to extract, I believe, from the quantum compressors down into these black hole units, and you know how much I love to use the modular routers here. So I think we'll place those down like this along the top. We can then have the quantum compressors on top of those, and then all we need to do from there is get a couple of EMC links that we can use to generate the items that we need, because I'm fairly certain that every single singularity that is required is made using a resource that has an EMC value. And as I mentioned in the last episode, I did a little bit of kind of back of the napkin math, and I think we need about 400 million EMC per ultimate singularity, which we definitely have more than. We've got 6.2 billion, and so we should be pretty much good to go. The tricky part here is that every single one of these singularities requires 10,000 of whatever item is associated with the singularity. So for the diamond singularity here, we need 10,000 diamonds. For the lapis, we need 10,000 lapis. For the invar, we need 10,000 invar. You get the idea. Now, the trouble currently is that the only EMC link we have is the basic EMC link, which can only extract one item per second. And so if we were to use basic EMC links, it would take 10,000 seconds in order for us to get one singularity, which is unbearably slow. And so it's probably going to be worth us looking at upgrading to some of these higher tiers of EMC link. And so if we take our tier 1 variant over in here, if we wanted to upgrade that to the next tier of EMC link. It's really not too difficult. It requires dark matter and some covalence dust. Dark matter, of course, we do have in our transmutation tablet. We'll take quite a bit of that and drop it in like so. We'll then, of course, do one of these, grab none of them. We'll use the one we've got, I guess, and we'll just upgrade to the next tier. This one requires red matter, and much like we did previously, we are going to have to start cycling through the different tiers of matter, but we did already make all the way up to pink matter for our energy condenser Mark II, and so we should have magenta matter in here. We do. We'll take 2 of those and do something like this, and then if we want to go up to Mark V, we need the pink matter, which is what we have. I don't think we went any further than pink matter, but I think we are going to want to go further than pink matter, because if we want to get these made in a reasonable period of time, I think at the very least, we're going to want something maybe like the tier 7 variant here that can do 64 items per second. That's still going to take a little bit of time to get up to 10,000 items, but it's going to be substantially faster than, say, 16 items per second. It's going to be 4 times faster, in fact. And so we need to get purple matter and blue matter. For that, we need pink fuel, which we should be able to get. Annoyingly, Isaac of the past seemingly did not teach his transmutation interface any of the different colors of fuel required. And so let's start by getting some magenta fuel and teaching that. Then if we take 4 magenta fuel, that should allow us to craft up the pink fuel. It does. We can then do the same again, of course, get 4 pink fuel, craft that up into purple fuel. Then we can take 4 purple fuel, and you guessed it, we're going to craft that up again with the Philosopher's Stone here to get the violet fuel. So if we're going to go for purple matter, we need pink fuel, and if we're going to go for violet, we need violet fuel, and then we're going to go for blue, we need blue. Okay, so let's get some violet, let's get some purple, and let's get some blue, which is this. And then let's see if we can't make a few more tiers of these matters here. So we'll start with whatever is after pink, which I think is purple. It is indeed. So for purple, it's just pink matter and pink fuel. Easy enough. We could take that, teach it, and grab 1 more of those. And that should be all we need to upgrade this tier 5, which I will save just to be safe. There we go. We can upgrade that to tier 6. That can do 32 per second. If we want to go 1 further than that, we need the violet matter. The violet matter here just requires 3 purple matter, 1, 2, and 3. And with that, boom, we have violet matter. Teach it, grab a second one, and you know the idea. We're going to go ahead and craft up the next tier of EMC link. So I think tier 7 is maybe where we're going to stop here. I think this is fine. We are going to need to get 19 of these. And so that in and of itself is going to be quite expensive. We can only get 45 in total, and that uses all 6 billion of our EMC. And so if we get rid of all of them that we don't need, that does still use a few billion EMC, which is fine because we have so much of it and we don't really need that much of it at the moment. But now we're going to want to do basically, I think, the exact same thing again here. We're going to want to get another set of modular routers, place those down above the quantum compressors, like this, and then put the EMC links on top of that. So we're going to pull from the EMC links down into the quantum compressors. Those are going to make the singularities, and then we're going to pull those singularities down into these black hole units, which is where they're going to sit until we need them. Now, the only other thing that I think we really need here is some catalysts, because if we look at the recipe for any of these ultimate singularities, they do require that you have an ultimate catalyst inside of the quantum compressor. The catalyst isn't used, and so we do again only need 19 of these, but you do have to have at least 1 inside of every quantum compressor for this to work, and it does need to go in the left-hand slot here. And then the final thing that we need is power, which again shouldn't be too difficult. We can go ahead and take a bunch of flux points. We can also, if we access our system, grab our flux configurator, this guy right here, and from that point all we should have to do is just drop a flux point onto every single one of these, right click each one with the flux configurator to make sure that it's pulling power from our energy ball. And with that, I think we're basically good to go here on getting these singularities. Now, annoyingly, we do only have space for 18 of these, and so although it's going to break the nice symmetry that we have going on here, we are going to have to put down one more line of these in just like a slightly awkward place, that being kind of right about here, like this. And with that down, now we should have all of these ready to go. All we need to do is grab some puller modules and some sender modules. Thankfully, all of these should be configurable in the same way, because we're always pulling from the top and we're always sending to the bottom. And so for the puller modules, we can right-click the whole stack, set them to pull from the top. And then the sender modules, we can just right-click the whole stack and tell them to send to the bottom. And so now, if we just put one of each of these into each of these modular routers, including the bottom ones here, they should all just work. They should all pull from whatever's above them and then send down to whatever's below them, which is exactly what we want. All right, so all of these now have puller and sender modules, and they should all be configured correctly. So all we need to start doing now is going through these singularities one by one and basically getting all of the items for them. So I think the easiest way for me to do this is just going to be to bookmark each and every one of these singularities. Again, apparently there are two missing here. Those are platinum and invar. They do have quests here. That's not invar, that's nickel. Invar is here. They do have quests, but for whatever reason they don't show in the recipe, but apparently you do need them. So these are all of the singularities that we need. And so, do we have bronze? I assume the answer is no. I know we have diamond. Let me take diamond. We'll put that diamond in up here. Just right click like so. And that should, in theory, start putting diamonds into the quantum compressor. Of course, we do need to make these faster, but I'm going to do that once we actually have all of these up and running. I also think that what I might do, just because I think it might look more interesting, is grab some more of the camouflage upgrades. And then whenever we set one of these up, we can grab whatever block corresponds to it, like diamond here, and then do something like this. So we know that this right here is where the diamond singularity is going to be. And then we'll put this back and we can move on to our next setup here. So diamond is done. We'll get rid of that. Glowstone is one that I see there. That's another one that is fairly easy. Let's put, oh no, I don't want to do transmutation tables there. I think I can change that though to, oh no, I can't change it. Empty your hand to retrieve items. Okay, hold on. If I break and replace this, does that reset its generation? It does. Okay, let me take that transmutation table out and that one. There might be a few of them. Okay, we're good. Glowstone is being made. Fantastic. I've got to make sure I don't right-click with my transmutation tablet. Glowstone is done. Iron, I think, is another one. It is indeed. We might as well grab that. I know for a fact we have iron ingots, so we'll take you and we'll put that in up here. Nice. Then, what else do we have? Lead? We don't have lead. Do we have copper? We definitely have copper. We don't have copper. Okay, fine. Do we have any lead and copper in the system? No wireless transmitter in range. What in the world? Oh, that might be a power issue, you know. Yeah, okay, because our solar panel here is what's powering our refined storage system. And right here, because of that infinite range upgrade, this is now using over 4,000 redstone flux per tick, which is way more than this solar panel can produce. It can only produce 2,000. And so, once again, that's a very easy fix. We just do something like this and this, and that should bring our system back online, at which point we should be able to once again check and see if we don't have any copper, which we do, and any lead, which we don't, but we'll find out how we're going to get lead in just a second. Let's do this, and let's do this. Nice, we can take copper off the list. Nickel, invar, redstone I know we've got. We've done a lot of redstone stuff. I think lapis is also one. So we'll knock off lapis and redstone, and we'll get both of those set up over here as well. So let's do lapis, redstone. Perfect. And then let's unbookmark both of those. Lapis, redstone. What else do we have? We've got electrum, bronze. Emeralds, I also know for a fact that we have. Let's take those and let's drop them in right about here. And we can knock that off the list. So coal is also another one, of course. We have coal. We're getting the easy ones taken care of first here. And then we'll look at some of the ones that we don't have the ability to make, at least not just yet. So I think that is all that we have. I don't think we have silver. We don't. So everything that we've got is being made. Of course, I do need to put the camouflage blocks in. We'll do that soon. Don't you worry, chat. But these are all going, but these are what we don't have. And so there are a few things we're going to have to do here. The first, I think, is we're going to actually have to do some more sifting. because a lot of these can be acquired through sifting. For example, silver, we do have in chunk form, and if we smelt this chunk over here, we do get a silver ingot, which we can teach like so, and I assume that that can be used to make the silver singularity. It can. Let's go and add that to the wall, and we can check it off the list. So I'll put silver in up there, and we'll get rid of silver over here. Nice. Then, I think there were others that we did have in chunk form. Did we have any lead? We didn't. Nickel? Also no. Uranium? Also no. Tin? We do have in chunk form. Also, platinum, we also have in chunk form. So we'll take both of those, tin and platinum. I think the platinum was too quickly snatched away from us there. Never mind, it's in my inventory. And so let's do you and you, and we can get those added as well. We'll do platinum over here, and we'll do tin over there. Fantastic. We can get rid of platinum, and we can get rid of tin. A lot of these, though, are also just alloys that we've yet to make. Things like electrum, things like bronze. We've just not made those yet, and thankfully we can make them, I think, fairly easily in the smeltery. Aluminum and lead. Lead, I think we can get from sifting gravel here, because much like with the silver that we just did, if we get some lead chunks, which we can get from sifting gravel, we can use those. That is going to be fine. The same is true for aluminum as well, and for uranium. So let's quickly go right back to where things started and do something like this. We do have the mining dimension. Twitch chat is right, but I don't think that the mining dimension is worth it. I think it's going to be a lot faster and easier for us to just do this. And if we do one more here, we hopefully will get enough of the lead. We did. Enough of the uranium. We also did. And enough of the aluminum. We didn't, but that's fine. We can do one more here. And we're good. Nice. Somebody in the Twitch chat does ask why fly back when you have the terminal in an infinite range. That is just muscle memory. I need to get used to not flying back to the terminal every time, but also for crafts like this, we need to fly back because we need to access the furnace more than anything else. It's not always about the terminal itself. There's lead, there's aluminum, and do we have the uranium? We do as well. Sometimes it looks like it's not been pulled out into my inventory, but I think that's just a visual glitch. That is fine. So let's do aluminum, let's do uranium, and let's do lead. So let's dump everything else back in the system. And now we just need to make all of this here. Nickel is one that we don't have. Oh, no, we do. Never mind. I guess that was also from sifting. Let's take that. Let's do this. All the rest here that are not nickel are alloys, which we can make fairly easily using our very, 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 very tall smeltery. And so let me quickly throw nickel in. You know what? We'll throw nickel over here. We'll give him the special slot. Fantastic. And so now there's 4 left, and those 4 are Invar, Steel, Electrum, and Bronze. The only one that we might not be able to make in the smeltery is potentially Steel, but we will find out here. So Electrum is very straightforward. It is gold, and it is silver. If we put both of those in here, like that, and if we quickly give this a bit of a tap with the time in the bottle, that's hopefully going to smelt that nice and quickly into some Electrum. I'm hoping the gold doesn't mix with the copper. It totally did, and it made rose gold. That is fine. Let's go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to temporarily, and by temporarily, I mean, I guess permanently, I'm just going to break this to empty out what's in there. And then when we rebuild it, it should be empty, and we should be able to just place in 1 gold and 1 silver, and we don't have to worry about it combining with anything else that might have already been in the smeltering. And thankfully, the multiplier there does stay in effect. Even if you break and replace the block, its effect is kind of associated with its place in the world, which is quite nice. So over here, we'll throw down the ingot cast, and we can pull out 2 ingots worth of Electrum. That will be Electrum done. Then bronze is just copper and tin. Unlike Electrum, this is a 3 copper to 1 tin scenario, whereas the Electrum is 1 silver and 1 gold. If we do that, we can then pull out our other Electrum as well. We are, by the looks of it, out of lava. That is fine. We can just EMC more buckets out of thin air. And boom, that is done. And this is going to be done any second now. And then the final one that I think we can do in here is Invar. Invar, again, a 3 to 1. This is 3 iron to 1 nickel. There's our bronze. This time we do have 4 ingots to pull out, but that's fine. Let's do iron. Let's do nickel. And there's no chance of the iron or nickel combining with the bronze. Usually, Like once you've got an alloy, it's not going to mix and form another alloy. It's usually only if you have like base materials in there. Like previously we had copper and we added gold and that made rose gold. But now it's just steel, and I don't think we can make steel using the smeltery. There is molten steel here, but I'm pretty sure that the only way to get molten steel is to melt steel ingots or steel dust, which we don't have. And so I think we're going to have to get ourselves a metallurgic infuser. Also, by the way, something I should have done a long time ago, people did point out after we set up the rainbow generator downstairs that the EMC link can just produce liquids. And so if we do something like this, set this to extract, and then if I take a bucket of lava and I right-click it onto here, that does just pull the fluid out, which is substantially easier than what we were trying to do. It makes the system we have downstairs, the extremely janky system that we have right here, a little bit obsolete. I'm going to leave this here for now because it does work and it doesn't need replacing, but you can just pull liquids directly out of an EMC link. You don't have to go through a system of like emptying out the bucket or anything like that. Over here we have 3 invar. Oh, it's 2 iron and 1 invar, not 3 iron. That is my bad. That's fine. We only need the 1 invar ingot. And so let us go ahead, take this. I'm pretty sure, there we go, that all of these have an EMC value. Of course, they do. And so it should just be a case now of us getting steel, which I think we're going to have to do via the use of mechanism, and we'll do that just as soon as we add all 3 of these to the wall. So 1, 2, 3. Let's unbookmark everything that isn't steel. And so for steel, we are going to need a metallurgic infuser. And of course, Isaac, you don't have to run back. You can access your system here. Metallurgic infuser. This guy, super easy to make. It is 1 osmium with 2 furnaces, some iron, and some redstone. Osmium, of course, we don't have. That'd be too easy. But by the looks of it, we do have some osmium ore from a previous mining expedition. I'm also going to assume that you can probably get osmium from sifting. Oh, maybe not. Maybe you do have to go and mine it because I don't see any osmium chunks. And so maybe the osmium does need to be mined. That's fine. Let's take you. Let's do this. And that should be everything for our metallurgic infuser. It totally is. I'll go ahead and teach that to the system. This does need power. And in a coming episode, we are going to need to get, I think, a few more mechanism machines potentially. So we are going to maybe have to find a place to put these. For now, though, I'm going to somewhat lazily place it down right about here. And if we grab some coal and some iron, I'm fairly certain that's all we need to make steel. You place coal in on the left, and you place iron in the red slot. That then uses carbon in the left slot to turn the iron here, which we can make a bit faster with our bottle, into enriched iron. And then as long as you have 10 milliwickets of carbon left in, you can do the same thing again and turn that enriched iron into steel dust. And then that steel dust can quite simply be thrown into any old furnace, such as this one right here. And boom, we have steel ingots. And with that, chat, we should have everything that we need in order to make this ultimate singularity. So let me right-click this up here. That's going to bring that online. Let me quickly go ahead and camouflage every single one of these. All right, so all of these are now camouflaged correctly, so we can see at a bit more of a glance what is what. So now the only thing holding us back is speed, and that is the speed of these modular routers, actually, because right now you'll see that in here, we're at 562, 563, 564. It takes a little while for the items to move down. Thankfully, that is fixable with speed and potentially stack upgrades. And I think that's fine. I think we can put basically a full batch of speed and stack upgrades into each of these, because the limiting factor at that point is going to become the EMC link. The EMC link is going to be what limits what we can do. I don't know. Can I turn off? I should check if I can turn off the modular routers with a lever. I would assume that I probably can. If that's the case, it might well be worth putting a lever onto the back of the top modular routers at the very least, so that we can turn this off if we need to, because there is a non-zero possibility that we start to tear through just like way too much EMC and kind of want to slow things down a little bit. So let me quickly grab a few more speed upgrades so I can finish off this last batch here, and then we'll test with a lever if we can turn these routers on and off. It does say redstone mode always. I assume we can change that to something else. So over here, it's still not super fast, but it is going up faster. We're getting 64 at a time every second. So 64 per second are making their way down, and at a rate of 64 per second, that means it's going to take 156 seconds, so just shy of 3 minutes, to fully transfer 10,000 of each of these items down. And so yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult. I do need to make sure I do this over here as well. Actually, I didn't put any speed and stack up grids in there. That's going to get that online also. But yeah, that should be good to go. And once all of those are done, it should just be a case of putting them all into the ultimate crafting grid. Now, my question was whether or not I could use a lever here to turn these off. I think the answer is yes, but we need to configure them so that we can use a lever, because right now, if we open this up, it says redstone mode always, so it's always active regardless. There's then the option of low, high, never, pulsed, and always. If I set it to low, I don't know if that means that it requires a redstone signal to be active. I think it might. No, maybe it turns off with the redstone signal? It does. Okay, cool. So we just need to go and set all of these to low, and then if we pull the lever on the back of them, they will stop. One thing we can do here is we can utilize wireless redstone with cyclic. There are these wireless redstone transmitters and receivers, which should be able to get the job done here. We do need a block of bone, that's fine, to get the wireless redstone receiver. This is the one that we're going to need multiple of. And then the transmitter also isn't too difficult here. We need more bone blocks, that's fine. Our system does know how to make repeaters, which is why they show up in blue, because if I control click, I can just have my system craft those for us. And then the crystallized amber we don't have in the system, but we do have in our tablet. And so let's do one of these. And if we get a GPS data card, which does require some carbon paper, which requires more paper, which apparently we do have, but we haven't taught, that's fine. Let's do this and grab more paper. That should be everything for the carbon paper. Again, I think the same thing's true there actually with charcoal, in that we have some, but not enough. That is also fine. Let's go and get even more of that. And then that should be everything finally for the carbon paper, which then should be almost everything for the GPS card. The only thing we're missing is iron nuggets, and boom. And this does have an EMC value, so of course we'll grab like a stack of those, and we'll do the same here with the receivers as well, because I think now, if I'm not mistaken, what we should be able to do is place the receiver down, let's say right about here, and then let's say we place down the redstone transmitter somewhere. It's tricky because there's no center here, but for now we'll put it down like here, and we'll give a lever to that. So if I take the GPS card, all we should have to do here saves the location data of a block. In here, I think we might have to have two transmitters, because this can only do 9 at a time. So I think we take the data card, we right-click it on this, and then we put it in here. And now if I flick this lever, this should be active. As you can see, it's not light red there, and now it's like red, and that's going to stop any of these from moving. Not that it matters necessarily, because this is currently full on steel. It's actually making the Singularity, which is good, but we can do this all the way along here, and of course we can do it here as well. And if we take our data cards, let me quickly dump some of this charcoal and some of the other paper that we have as well, but we can take all of these data cards and we can just start linking these to the different blocks. I don't think, yeah, you can't link multiple blocks to one data card, which is unfortunate, but if we link everything here, that one is not going to connect. That's fine. It's unfortunate because we've got 19 guys, so we are going to have one with like its own lever, which I think is probably going to end up being nickel here. That is fine, but basically now we can go ahead and we can just flick this lever, and that's going to stop any of these EMC links from sending any more stuff down. Nice, and you'll see we're already getting singularities on this side, and we've already got all of the singularities on this side, and so let's quickly go ahead and just drop all of these down, like so, and then we'll do the exact same thing again there. We'll take our transmitter, which we are going to have to grab out of here. Did I not teach the transmitter? That is fine. Let me do this and this. We'll take all of these back out. We'll grab this guy, quickly teach that to the transmutation tablet so I can make more of them, replace that down, put in all of the cards that have GPS data, which I think is all of those. I do notice we have one here that could be nickel, which would be unfortunate. Let me flick that and let's check. Yeah, no, this is all good. I think this one right here is, yeah, linked to a block that no longer exists. That's fine. I'm just going to throw that off the edge so I don't get confused by it in the future. Now we can come back over here. We can grab the transmitter and we can place that down. Let's say, again, right about here. I'm going to try and put it in the same spot, which is 2 away from the chest, right about there. Perfect. All right, boom. And then let's go and quickly grab all of these GPS data points. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Drop all of those back in the transmitter and turn it on. Cool. Okay, so I think that we are good to go. We have at least one of every single singularity here. So let's dump a lot of what we've got in our inventory back into the system just to free up enough space for us to grab one of each singularity here. We're then going to take every single one of these up to the ultimate crafting table, and we're going to see if this works. Now, the recipe for the ultimate singularity is shapeless, so you can put them wherever you like. Again, the recipe shows it not requiring platinum or invar. If we put everything in apart from platinum and invar, you'll see it doesn't work. If we put the last two in, interesting. It doesn't need platinum, but it does need invar. That is very interesting. Oh. Wait, does it just need... Interesting. Oh, people are saying it won't craft. We need to use an auto table. Oh, I see. This won't craft. Right, okay. So apparently we need to make an auto crafting table. Do we then need to teach it how to craft it? If I put all these in and I try and... Oh. I think I might have crashed it. Okay, so we're back. There was a slight game crash there. Thankfully, I didn't crash the server. I just crashed my game. We had to do a quick restart. The chat is right in that I didn't grab the nickel singularity, but I have a feeling that's still not going to do the trick. If I try and grab it here... Oh, no, it totally works. Okay, cool. So, just an FYI, it looks like it's not crafting, but if you put everything in there and then try and craft it, even though it shows nothing here, totally works. Does the job. And so that looks... It's a little bit buggy, but that is how we craft the ultimate singularities. And so now we have what it takes for us to actually start looking at crafting some of these creative items. And so what I think we'll do next time, we'll come back and I'm thinking we might start by crafting the creative fluid tank. The reason for that will become apparent fairly shortly, but for now, unfortunately, we are out of time for this episode of Mystical Block.